Colleagues, I think maybe let us start. Let me introduce myself first and welcome you to this session. Today we will be doing project implementation. And my name is Tabo, second name is Keith, surname is Bob. Originally from Soweto. Yeah, I started with the Regenesis since 2005, where I obtained various qualifications with the Regenesis. Up to my master's level. And yeah, I registered for a PhD, but I put it on hold due to various reasons. And yeah, which is in business administration. And yeah, before that, before I joined Regenesis, I was with the city of Johannesburg in various departments for 19 years with the city, even giving support in the independent electoral support for IEC and as a sub-electoral officer. Before my exit with the city of Johannesburg, I was with the Office of the Ombudsman, where I was an investigator for complaints and investigations for maladministration and misconducts and I decided to part with the city and join Regenesis. And today I'm here. I did performance management with the for the city of Johannesburg through the research program that I was doing when I was doing my master's. And yeah, currently I'm more invested into ethics in the local sphere, which is the paper that I'm doing for the doctorate. And we wrote an article about the public participation. Yeah. So yeah, in a nutshell, this is who am I, and welcome to today's session. And I hope you enjoy the session, and then we have a meaningful impact. Colleagues, I'm not going to go through this. You should have went through this with Tapiwa, but I'm going to share the slides after completing the module 3 entirely, so that you can just go through if you need about Regenesis. Was launched in 1998, and yeah, it's accredited with these institutions. And the integrated model, you should be knowing by now. We say everything and everything. The success of every of individual starts with you, and you know, it depends whether his or her self-awareness and knowledge and ability to manage this interdependent forces such as stakeholders and processes are within you. All Regenesis integrated model focuses is you are not in isolation. It starts with you. Your mental, physical ability should be able to give you a strength to have these forces being able to adjust, adapt within environments such as teams. When you are confronted with a team, you are able to be a team player because you are looking at the one common goal as an organization. And not only that, you will see as you are a team, you'll be confronted with external environments such as economy and unions and let me just go through that slide. Environment and customers, where you need to satisfy that, because you are not no longer in isolation. You are an institution that drives a certain agenda or product for external environment. So if everything within you is not 100%, it should be within the team so that you enhance the vision of the organization. I thought I should throw that into our sessions today. And with that, welcome to Regenesis. And we have also Regenesis graduate attributes that we believe that you must think differently. We enhance diversity and. And of course, there is a student portal that you are familiar with. Here's the HTTPS address. I think many of us are there already now. And these are the navigation of it. If we have problems, we can ask the administrator or the coordinator to assist in navigating through that. With that, I would like to know who you are, what is your role at work, one unique thing about yourself, and you can do that in conjunction. What are your expectations through this module and your contribution? And then, yeah, we move on. Anyone?
Okay, I'll start. My name is Mark Johnson.
Yes, Mr. Mark.
I'm a field service manager at TCM. I'm not quite sure why I was chosen for this course, but I finding it very interesting. And as I've told various of my colleagues already, even if I don't get a certification, I've learned a different way of thinking. Let me put it that way. I might not pass the course or get the accreditation, but at this point in time, it's a minor thing if I do get it or not, because I'm finding it very interesting. It's teaching me to think differently. I'm learning to communicate properly, where I thought I was communicating, but I've always got a preconceived idea in a communication when I talk to someone, and that just causes conflict. I don't understand what the people are saying because I've already got a preconceived idea of what I'm thinking. So I've learned in my communication not really to apply that and actually just to just listen and understand. So that's done me the world of good already. I think I've benefited already. One thing unique about me, I don't know. I guess I'm a musician, so I've got a logical approach. I think music is tied to logic. There's mathematics that happens in there as well. So yeah, that's about all I can say about myself.
Wow. Very nice introduction, Mr. Mark. I wish you nothing but the best. You will complete this course. I have no doubt. And in my mind, you are already showing some commitment. And like they say, without commitment, you'll never start. And without consistency, you'll never finish. So I see consistency in you, and I believe that you will obtain this qualification, and because you have shown some commitment. And thank you very much for choosing this course or for choosing even Regenesis. And welcome to the session.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Colleagues? Also, I would like to know you, and so I know your role at work and what you do and your expectation on this course. And I know you've done some other courses, and yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure everyone on the forum knows me. Gareth, I'm an account manager at TCM, sourced to ABSA as well as Lusaka. What I hope to gain out of this is just to strengthen myself in the project management scope. I am currently running projects and I always have been, but I'm just hoping to upskill myself and hopefully improve based on this course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gareth, and welcome to the today's session. And may you enjoy and yeah, hope to deliver on your expectations as well.
Hi, I'm Mark Taylor from Edinburgh. technician, assisting with the field management. I'm not sure why I was chosen, to be honest. And I'm finding this course very interesting. It's taught me quite a bit. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome. You're welcome to today's session.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simpiwe. I am a training facilitator, but I'm currently assisting with field service management. I don't know why I was chosen for the course, but then it's very informative and learning a new skill and gaining knowledge on a different aspect is very interesting. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simpiwe. Welcome to today's session.
And my name is Chirusanani Chiramune. I'm a facilitator assessor at TCM. I basically run the TCM Academy. Uh, Also known as an IT instructor, I guess. I've been chosen for this course because every year we run learnership programs, which are basically annual projects. And we gotta have to have some sort of project management qualification with it, I believe, and the course has been showing that. What's unique about me? Nothing. I'm the same as everybody.
Okay. No. Welcome, Mr. Chili. And hope you enjoy today's session and maybe to have a meaningful impact in what you do as well. Yeah, thank you so much for those introduction. As we're starting today's session, we have set these ground rules, and you may add if you feel that you wanna add the ones that I have left out. May you kindly please participate actively, keep your feedback succinct, respect each other's views, have an open mind, and mute yourself when you are not talking. Be open-minded, and when you speak, use I think, I feel, etc., etc. Is there anyone who wants to add on this ground rules? Yes, Mr. Mark.
Sorry, I think I'm looking on the attendees here. There's two people that I haven't heard from, Tobeka and Louise.
Oh, okay. Colleagues, you want to introduce yourselves? Thank you, Mr. Mark. Tobeka?
Hi, you say?
May you kindly introduce yourself? What do you do at work? What is your
Oh.
expectation on this?
Oh, hey everyone. I'm Tobeka Goke. I'm in the marketing department. So basically what I do is managing all TCM campaigns. And then, yeah.
I think let's move on, colleagues. We'll know each other because I don't know whether she is connected or not. Okay. Do you want to add on these ground rules? Are they okay? Okay. Nice to meet you. And welcome to today's session. Also, colleagues, be mindful, there's a chat there, and so our colleague has responded there. So yeah. This is how we're gonna do this. I try to outline it. From today, we'll do project procurement management, and that's it. And the other sessions as we go along will be following as the sequence of the program. Is that okay for everyone?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I saw that there's like 13 formative assessments, and then we only have like maybe 4 days. Ne? So I wanted to find out how much are we going to push in terms of the activities so that we don't get left behind. Because on the previous module, obviously that there's activities and that we didn't cover. So that's what I wanted to find out, how much we'll push.
Okay, good one there. I like your questions in PUA. I have structured this way. Today, I'm gonna try, we push maybe activity number 1 and 2, but because I want to try as much as I can for you to gather more information. Like I said, the slides, you'll get them at the end of the session, which is when you have completed this. So I have, in my previous session with the other groups, this is how I structure it. As we go along, we do an activity, we pause, and then you do an activity while we are still here, because there are 2 kinds of activities, formative and summative. Formative, we need to do it here and give feedback while we are still in the session. And then you choose a presenter, and then I just guide if there's a need for me to guide you, and so that I can give you a positive feedback that you are in the right track and I like what you are presenting, and. That's a formative assessment. And you can now then you elaborate it on your portfolio of evidence, knowing very well what to do. And each activity and each unit has its own activities. So as we are going along, we'll pause and do those activities in this session. Summative, it will be the ones that when I'm done with the session, when you go home, you sit down on your own, not in groups, and you do those activities there, because those are the individuals ones. And you complete everything there. And in your POEs, I'm requesting humbly, please, fill in where it's necessary for you, ID number and sign initial at the bottom of your portfolio of evidence. That will be my submission for you, sir. Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Today's session, we're doing project procurement management only. And then there are 5 sessions as per your email. So, but the last session will be focusing on what you didn't cover, and that's what we will be trying to push as well. But as we move along, we'll be trying to do all these activities because the formative ones are needed to be done in this session. Okay, in this module, we will be continuing the project management journey by investigating methods, tools, and techniques to implement projects. We will specifically look at 3 project management body of knowledge areas, where there's a project integration management, project communication management, and project procurement management. We will create a baseline of understanding about the different knowledge areas, and they show you how to apply the tool and techniques in a project environment. We will do this by revisiting communication skills, specifically project meeting management. We will also reopen numeracy colleagues, but this time we will be calculating many different aspects for project purposes. Are we clear, colleagues? And this is what we need to cover in this module. Use mathematics to plan and control financial instruments, including insurance and assurance, unit trust, stocks, exchange, dealings, options, futures, and bonds. You know, I don't know whether you know about the features. The features are a type of contracts, agreements to buy or to sell specific commodities, assets, or security at a set of future date for a set price. And then we'll also, one of the learning outcomes is use simple and compound interest to make a sense of and define a variety of situations, including mortgage loans, hire purchase present values, immunities, and sinking funds. And also the learning outcomes there will be investigate various aspects of cost and revenue, including marginal cost, marginal revenue, optimization of profit. We'll also look at use mathematics to debate aspects of the national and the global economy, including tax, productivity, and the equitable distribution of resources. As a project manager, you need to know how to distribute those resources. So one of the learning outcomes that is very important there. Also, one of the learning outcomes that we will also be touching will be measure, estimate, and calculate physical quantities in a practical situation relevant to the adult with increasing responsibility in life or the workplace. Explore and analyze the critique, describe and represent, interpret, and justify geometrical relationship and conjunctions to solve problems in 2 or 3-dimensional geometrical situations, executing processes and standards to support project change control, updating and communicating status of change requests. And also we'll be trying to cover administering the project library and repositories to support change to affected items, maintaining project organizational information, explaining the purpose, objectives, and scope of project meetings or workshops. And also we'll be looking at planning for a project meetings or workshops, arranging and supporting a project meeting or workshops. Also, one of the learning outcomes that we'll be looking at will be compiling and processing procurement requests to require standards and needs. Sourcing suppliers, sellers to meet procurement requirements. And where there's procurement requirements, there's legislation, ladies and gentlemen. And in your study guide, there's a page vast of legislations that are required in the procurement process. Receiving and evaluating proposals and making recommendations, maintaining and administering procurement records. It's very important as a project manager to keep records. Yes. Day 1 will be focusing on page 14 in your study guide. Your journey through the project management path has up to now introduced you to project management body of knowledge areas. These areas were mainly focused on project planning and preparing stakeholders for the implementation of the project. In this module, project implementation, we will be continuing with the project's life cycle. Remember, there's a life cycle that you have done in your previous model. By studying these areas mostly related to the activities during the implementation. Now we are at the implementation phase. It links directly with the knowledge areas. You will be studying in the next module as all of this are integrated. At this stage now, we are at the implementation phase of that life cycle. Therefore, at the end of this module, we will look at project integration as well. Remember, project implementation is the combination of many actions. Project manager is responsible for all the knowledge areas at the same time. But if you have planned sufficiently, the implementation phase is about communicating. And of course, managing the triple three constraints: time, cost, and quality. You cannot do away with time, and everything in the project management is costed. Whenever you move in the project, you cost everything. You shall have done the cost-benefit analysis where you are costing everything within your project. Now we are zooming in. How do you cost those things in the implementation phases? Your module 2 was based on project scope management, project schedule management, project cost management, how you manage all those things. Project stakeholder management, how do you manage that? Now we are looking at project initiation management, project communication management, project procurement management. Your next module, we'll talk about it when you are doing it. It will be containing of project quality management, project resource management, and project risk management. Project procurement management includes the process necessary to purchase or acquire products, services or results needed from outside the project team. Project procurement management includes the management and the control processes required to develop and administer agreements such as contracts, purchase orders, memoranda of agreement, and internal service level agreements. As a project manager, you need to administer these processes very well, and you do the record keeping. Archiving is very essential. Once you have given the service provider certain subsecondary project to be dealt with within your project, you need to have that service level agreement in place. And that's an agreement that you need to archive. Should he or she not deliver on time, you can still go back, and this is what we have agreed upon. Therefore, I cannot continue with your services. I rather seek for other services somewhere else. As a project manager, you need to be able to derive those means when it's necessary you are confronted with. Hence, their project procurement management must always be in order in your implementation. Colleagues, the definition above refers to many terminologies that you should know in order to manage a project sufficiently. In your study guides, page 16, you will go through what is the contract all about. You will read that. Credit note, delivery note, slip, goods, invoice, purchase order, quotation, what is meant by that. So I try to summarize all those terminologies of which you are familiar with as project managers, as you have been running the project. And you need to be mindful of these terminologies because they will always appear in any project whatsoever. Are we all clear, colleagues? Any questions so far?
No, not on my side.
No.
All right, thank you. Of course, in the project procurement processes and practices, there are steps that needs to be followed. An overview of a project procurement management, it looks like this. It's in your study guide, colleagues. You need to have a project plan management. By when you're gonna get the procurement process be done in your project, you need to plan it. You can't just have things haphazardly happening. You plan them. As a project manager, you plan by when you need to have those procurement be done. And obviously, when we're doing project management, initially in module 2, there was a team development. As a project manager, you have developed a team and then you assign certain activities. So you shall have a procurement officer who will be dealing with your management of procurement. Therefore, by when is needed for you to do the procurement, but you are the oversee person to look at those things. Conduct a procurements by when needs to be done. Control, obviously, your procurement officer needs to control all the documentation, the quality, and the time. By when is your items will be arriving within your project so that you can start executing or implementing your project results. Each stage has a specific activities which informs the process. Procurement process and practices, colleagues. As you plan procurement management, this phase of procurement management involves making decisions on how products or services will be brought throughout the project phases. The contract types you will be using for the procurement of goods, the planned delivery dates of goods, the number of suppliers you will be using and what you will be using them for, stakeholder roles and responsibilities. Now, you are at that stage of doing your planning. Yes, Votali?
Yes, Tabo.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I spoke to Tapio, ne? So we have agreed to do a support session for the students on Friday from 11 to 1 or 2. So I just want to check with the students if that's okay with them.
Yeah, because it depends on the availability of the colleagues here. I don't know. There's a proposal, colleagues, Mr. Mark, Mr. Gareth, the support session on Friday.
Can I ask a question? Will it be for the previous
Module 2.
module because we didn't finish
Yes.
it, or will it be for this one?
No, module 2. There's no support here. We are doing what we are doing here now for today, and we'll see how far can we go. This is for module 2.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, no,
On my side, I will be available.
I'm good. Obviously, Vitaly, if you can just send us that. I don't know if you're going to use the same link or if you can just send us the link, and then I'll just avail myself to do the 11 to 2 session.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll request our IT to create a link for us for Friday from 11 to 2. And the other thing, emphasize about colleagues, we need to engage in the discussions in class because formative activities require us to discuss in class. So that's one thing he alluded to me to take it through with you guys.
Okay, fine.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, for Tali, it looks like everyone will be on that session. And then, yeah, please send the link to the colleagues for support session on module 2. Our session here will continue as normal, and we'll see and when the need arises if we need a support. But here, we are starting today, so we can't be, saying
problem.
we need support now.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay. Colleagues, yeah. Then you will look at the type of contracts that you need. As mentioned, the procurement plan must state which type of contract will be issued to buy goods, to procure services. So in your study guide there, page 18, you will look at that. There are the various types of contracts there. Meaningly, there will be fixed price contracts, firm fixed price contracts, fixed price incentive fee, fixed price with economy price adjustment, and cost reimbursable contract. And yeah, read and understand there what does it mean and what type of contract you will be confronted with, should you be confronted with any type of contract. But my take, in any form of a project, A fixed contract will be a viable one, where you've got the standard rules and agreement that you need to complete the certain activities by when, and you agreed, you have your service level agreement, and that's it. Because the other contracts I'm not familiar with, and what is reimbursable contract, what is all about, where you need, if maybe you need to be reimbursed, you need to reimburse the supplier, or in when what is happening. And there will be a time and material contract that you want to look at if you are in the bigger projects. And what type of material will you use? Obviously, if you remember, there was a time that we were confronted with 2010 building of stadiums, and there was a cement issue. That was, excuse me, that was questioned, and whether or not it was a cement that was standard SABS standard approved, and the type of cement that we were supplying in the stadiums, and where the price was fixed, and that delayed the project of 2010 in building the stadiums. There was that type of contracts that emerged from suppliers in terms of their cements, because others were getting other cements from somewhere else, and they were not SABS standard approved. That is a quality on its own, quality management, and that delayed. It nearly even cost us the time that we scheduled for ourselves to complete the building of stadiums in 2010. And of course, there will be selection methods there. Selection methods helps a project manager to prioritize suppliers, quotations, and to sort through the many applications or bid documents. A bidding process is very important because you open opportunity for everyone. So you are not, when you are bidding for something, you want suppliers, you open the doors for everyone to say, come, but be mindful. If you are having, in your team as a project manager, you're having a quality assurer, the officer, and obviously, in your previous modules, they were talking about you need to have, when you're developing a team, you need to have people who are reliable, who are honest, and that person, when you are doing that, bidding for suppliers, people need to be honest and check balances in terms of the documentations of quality of their companies, whether they're credible or not. It is therefore important that the project manager establish an evaluation method. That is what I'm talking about. That's where you're gonna bring your team members, quality assurance person, and your risk officer in place. And when you are doing adjudication process there, and you adjudicate in accordance to the specific specifications of the supplier, or what the kind of supplier you need for the bidding process, and include this in the request, because obviously you shall have had the specifications of what is it, the supplier that you, what kind of a supplier you need, and you will have the requirements, and those team members, they need to be honest, yes, doing the check and balances of those suppliers. Procurement selection methods, whether or not you need the low cost, qualification, expertise. There are people who say they are engineers, but they are not, and you need to verify those things. Quality-based, highest technical proposal score, and there will be a quality and cost-based, and sole source and fixed budget. When you are doing that adjudication process, these are the things that you need to be mindful of as a project manager. It's often good to get the cheapest, but sometimes cheap can be very expensive. because it can hinder on your project to collapse because you find the cheapest materials. That is why we often see people who are complaining about this low-cost houses, that they are not adequate because there were no quality assurance people who were checking on those projects, because people are building on the low-cost things and trying to save money. And then now, at the end of the day, people are suffering because those houses, they're not in good standard. Bidding and tendering. A bidding document is a written request for a potential supplier. There we have a colleagues to submit either a quotation or a proposal against the requirements of their product or service needed for the project. It is also referred to as a tender. We often hear this tender, a name, tender. Yes, as a project manager, you are, if you have to be confronted. Sometimes as a project manager, you don't need to go through this process. You can go to your database. Many companies have databases where you can just check how many companies that you can source for them to supply you in your project. Be as it may, whether big or small in your company, or you can have the option of a tendering process. A tender is an invitation to bid for a project or accept a formal offer, such as a takeover bid. Tendering usually refers to the process whereby government and financial institutions invite bids, for a large project that must be submitted within a finite deadlines. Government bidding process is as follows, colleagues. It's in your study guide. You can just check the process, whether it's in line with your organization's process. But this is the government bidding process, where they are compiling a document according to specifications. We spoke about that. And then they initiate and they receive and they do adjudication, they evaluate, and then clearing success bidders and awarding contracts. And those are the types of contracts that we were talking about. But normally, it becomes a fixed one, where there's a specification by when you need to finish, complete the project, and. Now, this is where we are. Any questions so far before we do this task? You're going to go to your POE, I'm going to project it, and then it will tell you what to do. We are not as many. You will be doing this in this session because I won't be breaking you into rooms. We are only 6 in this session. As we are 6 in this session, you do activity number 1 as per your portfolio of evidence. And now it says plan to procure. You go to your POE, you look what is the task all about. What? Do you have any questions, colleagues?
All good, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna project the portfolio of evidence and then you'll see activity number 1 and it will tell us what needs to be done there. We all see this, colleagues?
I can see it.
Okay, you must by now, you are familiar with this. Please complete this, candidate's name, etc., is very important, and to be completing where it's necessary for you.
Is it me or these building blocks are at I don't know if it's on my side only, but it's really hard to fill on these building blocks that you guys have here.
I wouldn't know.
Are you able to edit? Are you able to edit on your building blocks there? When you are filling that part where you have to put in your name, surname, ID number, can you easily fill?
It should be. Isn't it this on Word?
It is on Word. I'm asking, can you fill? Are you able to go there and fill? Can you try to fill your name on that?
There you are.
Okay, so we
I
might as
see
well
what
just
you mean.
remove the thing because you see it's not justifying them.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay,
I
okay.
see what you mean. I see what you mean now. Perhaps maybe, let me see. No. No, it is. Let me see.
Let's go and what's there.
Okay. Alternatively, Simpiwe will be what? You'll just complete it manually and then you scan it. But will that be a difficult process?
Yeah, that's unnecessary. I mean, too much work
Yeah.
and resources.
Or you can remove this, all this, retype it, and then you type as you move line by line. I don't know. I really don't know because I think it's because of this.
You
Okay,
can delete
that's
it and
another
then
story for
copy it
another
and
day.
then paste
Yeah.
paste it. You can copy it from the previous one. Delete this one, copy from
Okay.
the previous one.
Alrighty.
That will be
Okay.
easy.
Alrighty. Thank you
Okay.
guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, remember, yeah, you're filling everything here and there are rules there. By now you should be knowing all those initial everywhere, where it's necessary, the date, etc., etc. Now we need to do the formative one. And in this group, you'll start engaging on your activity number 1. Because I have planned that we do at least to activity number 2 or 3 today, but we'll see how it goes. Uh,
Page 35.
Here you are. Can someone read? This is what you are given a scenario then. Okay. The Department of Infrastructure Development is responsible for maintaining infrastructure development in the country. They have published a request for proposal. This is what we were talking about for the procurement of a service provider to fix the roof of Johannesburg City Hall, where there's the legislature, the Gauteng legislature. The scope of work is provided below. Scope of work, there's it there, where you need to put the tiles, the roof, and then 5.2, their specification and the bills of quantity. And now, yeah, you will read through while you are doing this because everyone should be having this. Study the scope of work provided. Make a list of requirements of this document. You do not have to research the mandatory submission documents, just the scope of work. And it's only 5 marks. That question there. You have to do a scope of work. What needs to be done? You have studied the scope of work. It's there in that document. Scope of work. There we go. And they tell you they needed clay tile roofs. Now you obviously, when you want to do that, you start with the scope of work. By when you need to do this, what is it that you need? And you put everything by when you need to finish. It's only 5 marks. Then you go to another one. If you were in a position to write a proposal for this bid, what would you need to do in order to calculate the price of the project? How much is the one tile and how much is the length of the roof that you need to do? Obviously, you will just make a scenario answer there. And then you do the justification. If the tile is 2 rands times whatever with the length of, and yeah. What type of contract do you think the department will sign with the successful bidder? Explain the reason for your answer. And it's 3 marks. Then illustrate the procurement process you will need to follow to complete a project of this nature. I've touched base on the process, procurement process. Is that the same process that you will need to complete the project scope of this of this building? You will elaborate. This is what I will need. This is what I'm gonna do. This is the process that I'm gonna follow. Maybe I will follow the preferential act where I need localization of suppliers, or you'll check the legislations. I can't remember in the pages. Obviously, you need to follow the legislations as well. But you don't need to make mention of them. But you're just illustrating the procurement process at this stage, because it's only 4 marks. Create a list of criteria you think the department will need to source their supplier. Obviously, they need to have followed the procurement process that you have just illustrated there. And obviously, with the various acts, they need to have in consideration. It's 5 marks. In support of this bid, what risk do you think could be associated with the supply of goods and services? Colleagues, there the risk is quality of products that you're gonna need. And they're specifically saying they need a clay. So sometimes people will say it's a clay, but no, you need to do quality assurance there. And in support of that, you need to be mindful of your quality assurer to say to you that the quality of clay tiles is SABS standard approved tiles, and make those risk assessment. Obviously, you will elaborate that the risk assessment plan needs to be in place in order for us to support this bid. And then illustrate the process of the department will have to follow to award this contract. Specifications needs to be in order. The requirements needs to be in order. Already, they're giving you a project scope there, etc., etc. You will elaborate there. Are we all clear on what we need to do? Can we try and do this activity and then you do the report planning? What is it that you have think this activity seeks to address? And everyone must have their assessment so that you can be productive in giving your answers, and so that you can report. One person must report and then we see. It's 13:07. Can I give you until 1:30? Colleagues?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please, we need to move, colleagues, and then obviously we do this trying to wrap up all these answers that they seek to address. But obviously, in your sessions, you will narrow it down and down and down. But you must have the sense of essence. What is it that is required for us to be doing in this activity? And I try to even give you direction there. This is why, what is it that you can put? And this is what is it that it seeks for you to address. But I'll mute myself at 1:30. I'll come back and ask how far you are and etc. Okay, let us do that exercise, please. Colleagues, we're not gonna go anywhere if we're gonna be stuck like this. We need to do something about it. Formative activity 1 needs to be done. And this is a formative way in this session. And now, I don't know why you are not engaging on this session in terms of starting to do this activity.
So we basically
Can I
need
ask
someone
a
to take
question?
the lead. Okay, I'll go.
Can I ask a question? I don't understand. It says number 1 says we must make a list of the requirements of the document above. Do we like summarize what's been written here into 5 points or what?
Of course, sir. Of course. Of course. Already you have given a scope. You just need to summarize exactly what the project scope is all about. Because already they've given you what needs to be done. And that is why I was saying at some certain stage, how then you will say, there was a question there. I said, obviously, your quality assurer person and you need to be knowing whether is this a quality of clay tiles that you have, because obviously there's a specifications here. And when we were doing the slides, then they said as a project manager, you need to have the requirements and the specifications to see whether or not the supplier is a correct supplier. And is this a person on HRB? What? Yeah, that concept. That's yeah, HRB and yeah, that whatever that yeah, what? The ones that were doing quality building control. Obviously, there are some contractors who are registered on that association, or it's an institution of the builders, on whether or not they are there, and what are the specifications that as a project manager you will need. You will need someone with who will supply you with the clay tiles that are not even SABS standard approved or not, or any person who can do the job and deliver it within a specific time. Obviously, time is of the essence, but time, quality, and cost is very important. Remember when we're doing the project. What type of a contract are you going to do here? Do you think the department needs? Because this is a department of infrastructure, and they are awarding this. And you as a project manager, you are there to chip in and do whether or not check and balances. That's why you do not need to research here. The scope of work is there. That's exactly what you need to interrogate.
Right, so we just basically need someone to take the lead and.
I think you need someone to lead you and start crafting what needs to be done. I've gave examples, and I don't know whether you were making references to that or not.
Okay.
And there's in your study guide, there is a procurement process there. You can illustrate and then you enhance it, obviously, and you create a criteria. Obviously, colleagues, when you need a supplier, I even ran through that. There will be requirements. So criteria list of your supplier will be what? requirements, we need someone who's a real builder, and requirements will be, we want someone who's qualified, and we want, you know, there are certain things. I mean, he supplies you, and you need someone who's give you quality, and you don't need cheap things here, as their specifications that they need a clay roof, and obviously you don't want something that will crack in the near future. In support of this bid, what risk do you think could be associated with a supply of goods and services? Cheap things, that is one of the risks. How are you going to mitigate? Quality assurance, team officer you will need to do his or her own check and balances here. Assessment risk, what kind of the products that you're gonna put in place? Are you sure that they are of the quality? So risk management plan needs to happen there. And those are then they say you must list at least 5 risks. And I've already given some of the risks that can happen. Colleagues, I cannot go further, but I wanted you to give your own version so that we have the understanding of this process and this activity. The process of the department will have to follow to award this contract. And there was a process that I was telling you about bidding. Elaborate on that one. Okay. Let me stop here. May you please continue and do what is necessary, and then we'll come back and report.
All right. Anyone want to take the lead? Howard? Mark?
Let you go, Gareth. You can go for it. Off you go,
Always
bud.
me.
Well, you got the most experience in this, bud, so come on, man.
All right. So I'm gonna do a different method. Let's try it like this. I'm putting the scope of work on. I'll put it in just in this sheet. So we're gonna break this up into different points. So 3.2, the scope of work. Howard, can you review what you feel that the scope of work requirements is in this one? Howard, don't leave me hanging here.
Yo, you're putting me on the blast, Gareth.
Yeah, we need to. I'm forcing us to be interactive because this is such a quiet group. Okay, so the scope of work, the project comprises of 2 main groups: temporary access of scaffolding, safety structures, treatment of the clay tiled pitch roofs and related elements. So what do you feel the scope of work would be within 3.2?
Okay. Let me answer. Number one, and we need high quality material. We need to procure high quality material that will not break easily in 3 or 5 years time. Ne? And then number two, we need an experienced person who will be able to professionally deinstall and install the tiles, the new tile, professionally deinstall the old tiles without breaking them and install the new ones. Someone else can take over from here.
But I see it also speaks to scaffolding and safety structures. So then we also need construction equipment.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody disagree with that? So then we'll move on there. So 3.2.1. Let's hand over that to Mark. What's your view on 3.2.1?
I don't know, Gareth, I'm just listening to what the instructor was talking about. So I'm looking at the question. Study the scope of work. Everything is there. There's no research, no brain surgery that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And the points are, remember him saying, you need to summarize what needs to be done. So we're going to have to fix up this clay tiles and replace it and do all these things. The other thing I'm stumped by is by when must this be done? I can't find this being a project I can see the delay we could get with a specific tile of 8 and 10 weeks, but what is the time frame that this thing must be done? Remember, this thing, we're talking about procuring a service, as I understand, the main thing is about procuring a service provider or something. So to get that, we'll also need to obviously look at, like was mentioned before, the quality. He also mentioned we've got to look at what's the risk. So the risk would be, I mean, you've got to factor this in, the specific tile that has to come in. It's going to take 8 to 10 weeks. I still haven't figured out what is the time frame that this whole job must be done, or this project, which is, it's got a set time. This must start there, must end there. You know, and we to get a service provider that's going to do this, we would have to draw up some form of bidding or tender document or something. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about this whole question. I'm on question 1.
Yeah, we're on question 1, but now we just need to extract what's currently in the scope of work and what you feel would be the scope of work and input it into our answers, like what Howard did.
Yeah, so basically, from what I understand for that question, one thing, basically, the scope of work, there's 10 things mentioned that needs to happen. But when he was saying with the scope of work, we need to look at, I can't find the time frame that it must be, all this must be done in. Can anybody see that? I'm missing it.
Approximately 8 to 10 weeks.
No, that's the lead time to import the tiles is 8 to 10 weeks. What is the time to finish the job? Okay. That's what I'm talking.
Okay, but now I understand you have one outstanding question. Let's park that one until the moderator comes back in, and let's move on to all the other requirements, because then we're going to sit and debate this one question.
Yeah, no, cool.
And then we're never ever going to go get anywhere. So what do you feel? So now, so Howard's obviously provided that so we need to procure high quality equipment, experienced installer and idea installer. And what do you feel the other thing? What other parts fall into the scope of work?
Well, I would think we would need to get. We're talking about procuring a what is it, a service provider or something for this work. So we would have to draw up some form of. Okay, I'm looking at the thing. Study the scope of work provided. Make a list of the requirements. Another research, just the scope of work.
Okay, I've also shared it on the screen. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Sorry, I'm looking at my own document here. Yeah.
So I've taken only just those little cutouts and I've highlighted what would be. So obviously scaffolding and structures, that would be a sort of key element. The clay tiled and pitched roofs, so the treatment obviously relates to that. So there's the safety measures, approvals. They need to strip the existing. So this one speaks to what Howard said. We need someone who's experienced to be an installer and also a de-installer, and then remove and dispose of all gutters. So this will need. We'll need another contractor company who will be in charge of properly disposing all of the equipment. I mean the waste. That's what I would think. So let's move over to Anthony, because Mark's. Anthony, you want to have any sort of input?
Yeah. Yeah, we need experienced guys. We need different people for the different sections. The cleanup with different suppliers. The suppliers must supply the right quality equipment, you know. And then you'll need guys to do the sealing of the existing sheeting. So there's tiles and there's sheeting that needs to be fixed, repaired. So I don't think the tilers will be able to do the same job as the sheeting.
Okay. I see Tabu said you in regards to Mark's question, you can create your own timelines, because obviously it's a sort of virtual project. So you can add that into it Mark, that answers your question. The specification request can be NHBRC suppliers as one of the requirements. Louisa, would you like to elaborate on that, or can't you talk? Aye. This is like pulling teeth, guys. Louisa's having sound issues. Mark, did you hear that? I addressed the question to you, no response. Howard, anybody? Dead silence.
Obviously, our answers won't be the same. Won't be the same. So now we just sharing. We just brainstorming. So
exactly. That's what we did.
anything anyone comes up with is not wrong or right. Yeah,
100%.
because obviously you are going to sit alone and review all the answers so that you can be able to write down the correct stuff. So guys, any answer you answer is not wrong or right.
Thank you, Howard. I agree with that. So right now, guys, we're not here to debate. We had to give input. So, anything. So right now, I've made notes. I got procure high quality equipment, experienced installer and deinstaller, companies to properly dispose of waste. So that's what I've put down for the 3 things that we'll need for the scope of work. And then we obviously need time frames on procurement and suppliers.
Yeah, let's move on to the next question because everyone has an idea of what we need to do on the first question. We don't have to give all the 5 answers. We'll come up with them on our own. Even if it's 1 or 2 or 3, it's fine. We're not submitting the POE today. So
All right. So then, Howard, you can take question 2. It's yours. I've done question 1, and we'll run it like that.
okay. If you were in a position to write a proposal for this bid, what would you need to do in order to calculate the price of the project? Anyone?
You need to go and get costing for the. You need to go and get costing for all the stuff that you're going to use on that. That's the first thing you're going to do. So you're going to go get quotation and come recalculate, put margin markup on it.
Okay.
Good. So we'll need material costing, labor costing.
And then also we need a time frame. So the longer the project takes, the more amount of money that will need to be used because of people need to get paid. The longer the project goes, people need to get paid. So yeah, at least we came up with 3. Anyone else can come up with the 2?
Traveling.
Sorry,
Can you repeat that?
Sorry, traveling costs.
Oh yeah.
We'll say travel and transportation. I think that falls into the same scope, eh?
I think maybe we would need to know what's the cost of 1 tile and how many tiles are we going to need to get us replace or whatever. That would definitely affect how we're going to actually do our costing. That's my thing.
I see Louisa also added that transportation costs. So we'll put travel and transportations. Travel and transportation is 1 costing.
Okay. Next question.
All right, next question. Then we'll hand
On that question, I think at the beginning of the topic now today, we talked about cost reimbursement contract. I think that also plays a factor in our costing, depending on whether we are doing a cost reimbursed contract or just a cost contract. Because a cost reimbursed contract means that us who are taking the project are going to have to use our money. So I think we can add that as well on that. I don't know if I'm making sense. You know when we're talking about cost reimbursement contracts. So cost reimbursement contract means that we spend all the money. We take our money from our account and go spend it. I think the margin and markup should be calculated slightly different from just a normal cost contract, right?
I think that that question is the next question, the type of contract.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sure. That's just what I think.
You know what? But if we move on to question 3, then Tisasani, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Terrible at this. You can take question 3.
Gareth, let me teach you to stop being terrible. Chili. Call me Chili. Simple.
Chili. Thank you.
Away.
So question 3, since you've already seemed to be in that line, that can be yours to run with.
I didn't even look at it. Can somebody else take it? I haven't looked at question 3 yet. Where is it?
Howard was talking now about the fixed contract, or what's the other one, like a flexi or reimbursement contract. So maybe he can give us some guidance there. I remember what was said is it seems always been to be the better choice. I didn't have time to think properly about why, but it's better choice than a fixed contract. That's what the lecturer said. I don't know.
I guess the question. So if we can just start with Chili, can you are you looking at your POE?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out what that question is.
Okay, then just give it to Anthony. Anthony, you can run with this one.
Sorry, which one was it? What question? Oh,
Question 3.
Question 3. Okay. Let me just cancel this.
Yeah.
What type of contract do departments sign a successful bidder?
I have no clue with this one.
Write a letter to
Going
him.
through the manual.
Unless you want to skip this one, or just anybody
Yeah, I
have
think
anything
let's
else?
skip that one for now. Receiving, evaluating.
Now we've got question 4. Mark, you want to take this one?
Oh, okay, guys. I got it. On 3. Sorry. I got 3. Okay, so it says, what type of contract do you think the department will sign with the successful bidder? I think they will go for the cost reimbursement. Now, reason I'm saying this because departments normally on bids don't give you money up front. You need to spend your money and then you can put your markup on it. So the type of contract will be that cost reimbursement contract. You spend your money, you put a markup on it, and then they pay you with the interest on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how bidding normally works. When you get a tender, they don't pay you upfront. They pay you like 3 months or sometimes even 6 months to a year later. Yeah.
Louisa gave us quite a speech here. This type of contract speaks to reimbursable, repaying, or refundable payments in some projects circles. These contracts are also referred to as cost plus contracts. These contracts are used for the scope of work and is not clear or straightforward. For example, if you are running a development project and the client wants you to continue the development done by a previous company, you will use the contract like this. Reason, you do not know how much or how little the previous developer has done. Okay, so yeah, it seems like we're all on the same level. I think, Louisa, you agreeing it's the reimbursement? Yeah, okay, cool. So thank you. Chili, you've answered number 3 for us.
Away.
Okay, cool. Then number 4, Mark Johnson. You can have that, baby. And Mark's not here anymore. Anthony, do you want to weigh in? Anybody else?
I have no clue, but what I did do is make notes of what was said. This is basically, you need to basically have an approach of this is what I'll need, and this is how I will go about doing it. And that should lead us to answer question 4.
Illustrate the project process you'll need to follow to complete the project of this nature. So process flow, basically, guys. So What is that thing we did in the other module?
You know,
Like the
it's a
start,
matter.
the end, the time frames, all of that, blah blah blah.
I would think I would need to I'd need to know, illustrate the, and they're saying illustrate the procurement process. So I don't know how many procurement processes there are, which means I'll have to do some reading up or whatever, research or something. And I would just apply basically what was said is I need to approach that, say there's different processes. I need to illustrate how I would go about, like what do I need? And this is how I'll go about doing it to answer that question. That's all I can say for now. I haven't had a chance to read. None of us had a chance to read through this module before, and obviously that's why we're sitting a bit fast, I think.
So I see. Open. Hello, Howard.
Sorry about that. So, okay, someone said we are using the government bidding process. Obviously, there's those 5 stages of the project where we need to compile bid documents and all that. That's the one that we are supposed to use, I think, on question 4.
So I found this, which is apparently the procurement process. To identify goods or services needed, I consider a list of suppliers, negotiate the contract terms, finalize the purchase order, receive the invoice and process payment, deliver audit of order, maintain accurate records of invoicing. Not sure if we agree. That seems like it to me.
Is it the same as the one from the study guide?
No, this is Google.
Yeah, what page is that on, Gareth? That sounds like exactly what I've summarizing those 2 lines. So where's that?
I Googled it.
Yeah, man. Okay, we've Googled it. Okay, cool. But yeah, basically, it sounds like that is exactly what I'm saying in the 2-liner that I summarized, but I don't know where to find it. But okay, cool. That sounds right to me.
I'll share it on our group.
I think.
Colleagues, let me chip in there. I've been listening attentively to what you were saying. It's nice, you know, I must say, all of you have given valid inputs, and I didn't know why you couldn't start, and because you've got all the answers. Yes, be as it may, Gareth, the last point that you are looking at, obviously, this is exactly what they need to see from you, whether you'll understand that process. It doesn't have to be the one that is a study guide, but that's precisely what needs to be happen there on that question. And on the other angle, yes, reimbursement contract, it's what you can look at when you are looking at the government perspective, but it shouldn't be something that we always look at because we might not be confronted with the government processes. We might be in the private sector projects where private sector is not the same as government, and then we'll issue the supply. As I was saying earlier on, there will be a database where we abstract this, and then you give funds for that specific project. But for the benefit of this exercise, yes, Chile was right on that process. They will reimburse you later on what the funds that you have used, and obviously you mark up whatever that you have used in order for you to gain the profit. But colleagues, you are spot on, and I don't know whether you still need more time, because that's exactly what I needed, that energy from earlier on, and I don't know why you couldn't. But let's carry on. I'll give you another more minutes.
Disconnected through that. So yeah. Mark, can you lead? I missed that whole session, that whole piece. Need someone to lead again. Howard, you're up.
You're putting me on the blast again.
Yeah, I have to pull somebody in. It can't just be me all the time.
On which question? Is it question 5?
Yeah, question. So I didn't hear the breakdown of question 4, but because I disconnected load shedding, my power came back on, so my generator kicked in. I just want to check. So question 4, the illustration, did we conclude that? Was it done?
Yeah, that was correct, Gareth. You can send me that link later on where you Google that answer.
Okay, cool. Okay, then we'll move over to question 5. Anthony, yeah. Okay. I create a list of the criteria you think the department will need to source their supplies. Okay, so we need a supply list.
Yeah, obviously we need a trusted supplier of tiles.
CTM.
Yeah.
Okay, tile supplier.
I think
Next
you just said now there's a database. They got a database, the government's got a database, or wherever there is a database somewhere with suppliers. I don't know.
but that won't give us 5 answers. Okay, so now obviously, okay, so we need supplies. So first we need people. So we need a labor department, don't we? Is that the right words? Construction company? Anyone? Input, guys, come out with. Anybody? Billy, you're up. Input, please.
Me.
Yeah, we need input. So I create a list of a criteria you think the department will need to source their supplies. Okay, I'm with you with what Mark is saying.
A list of the criteria the department will need to source their suppliers. First, they will need quotations. Those are very, very important. References of the places or projects that the suppliers have supplied. What else? Yeah, I'm stuck. That's it.
So you submitted. They will need quotes.
They will definitely need code from the suppliers. They will need references of what the supplier have supplied and to who, and this will be for quality verification.
I think you're missing the question. So you must list a criteria. So we need to give them a sort of a scope, so that they need. So when they go to their suppliers, they know what they're currently looking for.
Gareth, I think Howard is right there. We're looking for criteria for 5 marks. So what? Obviously, there must be like you said, a reference. There must be a vetting process. We're going to need quotes. What would the criteria be that the department would look at?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the procurement selection methods? Obviously, the criteria we need qualified and experienced personnel.
That sounds right. Yeah.
We
sounds
need
perfect.
We need high quality material.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need references. We need codes. We need. Anyway, yeah. And I'm not Howard, Mark. It's chill.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So okay. So we've got quotes. You're looking for you. You see that?
Quotes, references, high quality material.
No, but so you have to. I think you're misleading this question, or maybe it's me. You guys can correct me. I'm very tired today. I was busy with scope of work the whole last night. So, in order to go and search your suppliers, like say you are looking for someone, a mechanic, but now you have to give them the criteria of what the mechanic needs to do on the car. That's what I kind of see this criteria as. So we trying to tell them that we need someone who can lay tiles. We need someone who can do whatever X, Y, and Z.
And Gareth, I'm thinking the criteria here would be that it's not someone sitting that doesn't even have a business, is actually a conman. He's never maybe laid tiles in, so that's why I'm saying they would investigate what's the price, is there references, is this a credible person to do the job? That's where I'm agreeing with what Tisasani said now.
Yeah, it's correct. So, but now we need to tell them. So obviously we can't just go and tell them to go find quotes. What do we want them to find quotes for?
Yeah, but I'm putting my focus on what would the department's criteria be? They want reputable people. They want the cheapest cost, not necessarily cheapest at the expense of quality. You know, those type of things. That's where I'm thinking along the criteria that they would want.
So experienced builders. I assume the word. I think builders lay tiles. Wouldn't you say? Okay, so
Can
we
you
go-
repeat that for me?
No. So what Mark was saying is, the criteria that they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for experienced people. So I put experienced builders. They'll be looking for the cheapest cost but quality. Qualified builder or tiler.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's what they're currently going to be looking for to search their suppliers to see if their supplier has an experienced builder, and then also if their suppliers can provide a cheap building cost but still have the same quality. Okay, so then that's only so Chile gave quotes. I don't know where we quotes, and then we've got experienced builders or tiler. And then we got experience, cheapest cost by quality. Anybody else want to weigh in on the last two, what they feel?
Maybe reliability. I just people got to deliver. They do. There must be a reliable. How can I say? The people must be reliable to deliver their job, which is basically a contour. You know, check out their references. Who's these people? Whoever bids or whatever, have they done this before? And how have they delivered before? That type of thing. I don't know. That would be a criteria. I would, if I was in the department. I'm not going to take any Tom, Dick, and Harry that now sends me a bid and give him the job. No ways. You know.
Okay, cool. And then I agree with that. And then also availability. I think that's also an important one. To find out if the people are available during the time period. That you're.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And then Louisa's typing. She can give us one more. Quality and reliability. Yeah. Let's see. That's what Mark also spoke to. Okay. Quality and reliability. Cool. So then we're going to move over to question 6.
Okay, colleagues, as we move along, maybe question 6 and the remaining question, we'll just talk to them. And then please, you need to complete them because in the interest of time, I want to move on and then we do another exercise. But it's almost 2 o'clock, but let's finish this activity. It's fine. And then I don't know whether you're still going to give me a leeway or you need to complete this session at exactly at 2 o'clock. Because remember, we even started a little bit late.
I'm fine. I'll blank my calendar till 4.
Okay. No, maybe 30 minutes extra or an hour extra, but I need this session, once it has started like this, it needs to keep its momentum. And I even wrote there, one of the requirements there, colleagues, NHBR, and you could be specifically saying this is what you're going to need for your supplier to have this requirement. And that's exactly what I was trying to say. What is NH what? So I wrote it on the chat. It could be something that you also add in your answers there to be a qualified supplier in your process. Because this is another requirement for the guys who are building and whatnot and whatnot. Okay. I like it. I like it so far the way you have outlined it. And then, okay, continue. It's fine. Then we can regroup at exactly 2 o'clock, and then you give a report back at 2 o'clock, and then we continue with the session maybe for 30 minutes or an hour, and then we do another activity and we wrap up. Thank you, colleagues. Nice one.
Thank you. Then let's move over to question 6. Anthony, are you back? Are you going to weigh in, yeah, for us? Anthony's gone undercover. We know you're there.
Sorry, no, just busy with this tech. Okay, what risks? Is it
Yeah.
that one, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, the risk will be a subpar equipment or materials delivered, delays in the delivery of the materials, maybe lockdowns and work cannot be done due to pandemics or whatever.
The prices could be inflated.
At the process, yeah.
Extension of the time frame will also result in additional costing. Just my words aren't coming out right today. Tired. I think we 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Economy breakdown disaster. Okay. That's from double. Right, then I think we on 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on 5 there, guys. Move over to the next one. No, that is number 7. Illustrate the process the department will have to follow to award this contract. Okay. From my side, I believe that they'll have to vet. They'll have to vet the costing. They'll have to do comparison between different suppliers. Anybody else want to weigh in? Mark Johnson. Chili. My word. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
I think they, first of all, it's not this, there will be obviously some
Sorry?
formal, at one, they'll have to see that the contract is awarded freely, but not influenced, so they'll have to have some form of bid committee. I don't think one person's going to make the decision, and that has to be quite transparent. So I don't know in terms of process if that's what the question is about, but if it's a process, there'll have to be some form of transparency, and obviously how can I say, what do you say when you compromise? If you say you give the bid to your friend or whatever, that has to be, so they have to have a committee, a board, or not a decision body. They'll have to have someone that's going to look at all these things, and then obviously not influence the decision for their own personal gain or whatever.
So we had that other one in the other PRE, which was we can't be biased, I think it was.
Yeah.
Biased to the contract. It was. Okay. All right, this is with 6 marks. So I've given 2, Mark's given 1, Howard. Ever since Howard turned his camera on, he's hiding now because he's shy. He's embarrassed. Tabu's typing. No political interference in the bid. All right. Thank you, Tabu. Anthony, something to weigh in?
Sorry, what was that?
Anything you want to illustrate the process the department will have to follow to award the contract?
Obviously, we need someone to inspect the process so that there's no corruption.
Process.
Yeah. We need someone to inspect and check if there's no corruption or,
Yeah, it will be like a bid committee or something like that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Uh,
The other
the
thing is, obviously,
BBBEE and all that. Because the right.
someone will have to see that the criteria is met on the bid that is submitted. You can't just, you know what I'm saying? Remember, there's a lot in my thinking. Is basically there's a whole lot of bids going to come in. Someone's going to have to basically somehow, there'll have to be some selection process. Look, this one doesn't meet the criteria, first of all, of what needs to be done, in terms of the scope of work and the deliverables of that. So that one we're going to chuck out. So they're going to have to go through a thing and then get a short list and some form of process like that, that will eventually lead them to saying, okay, this is a successful bid that we're going to award. And like I say, everything has to be free of corruption or what, I don't know what the exact word is, where basically you could end up giving your friend a contract and get a bit of bucks on the side. It must be that there's a whole process on that selection, shortlisting, and coming to the final bidder. I don't know. That's what my thinking is.
All right, good. And then I also said inspection of the quality of the material and equipment. That's also something that's important. Obviously we can't run a project with cheap tiles. That's going to break in a few months. So I think we touched all bases there. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and there's 6 questions. So I think we're good there, guys. Then that's the whole first section done. Then it's activity 2, control procurement activities. Thanks, gentlemen, for your input. Thanks, Howard, for showing us your beautiful face.
Hey, that was a mistake.
All right. Can we have the moderator back? Or are we supposed to do activity 2 now also?
No, I think we have to go through the learner guide before activity 2.
So, any questions anybody else wants to touch on while we're waiting? Anything we want to revisit? You feel you need more, a little bit? Anything else on it? Guys, I'll just have to take a call. I'll be back now.
Okay, colleagues, who wants to do the reporting, and then let's listen, and then we give more feedback on it. And then be mindful, as we are giving report, you must start making your own notes, because you'll be submitting almost something that you are familiar with, that you have discussed in this session. And therefore, it will be very imperative that you make notes while you are presenting this, because you need to go back and fill up what you have done in this formative assessment. Okay, so you may want to extend on what you as a group have agreed. It's still well and okay, but the intention was for us to have one common direction and understanding. So anyone can go and tell us what is it that they believe was needed to be done. Or you want a project? Did you make some notes on number 1 until 7? You may want to do so. If not, you may talk to the answers and tell us. But you need to complete this, all of you, on what you have discussed from 1 to 7 and initial at the bottom. Colleagues, can you report back, please? I'm waiting for your report. One needs to present all the discussions that you've been having now. Come on, colleagues, we can't be going on like this. We need someone to report back on the issues that you were raising that were valid in terms of this activity, and then we move on with the session, and then until we get to another activity that I wanted us to complete today. And all this needs to be completed in your portfolio of evidence.
So just to understand, are you asking for a summary of everything that was discussed now?
Yes, a report back. Yes, exactly what you've been discussing. Let us start from this.
Okay, I will try to do it, seeing that I don't talk too much. Okay, so obviously we know the scenario, and then we go to the first question. The study, the study the scope of work about, make a list of requirements of this document, and they go further to say, you don't have to do any research, just the scope of work. So what I made notes of, what the group said here is, well, what I made from what you said was what needs to be done and by when. The requirements, the quality, we're looking at the quality of the watch group. We spoke about risks, and we also spoke about bidding/tendering. That's on question 1. I don't know. I'm just whatever was discussed, I've made notes. And then question 2, it says, if you were in a position to write a proposal for this bid, what would you need to do in order to calculate the price of the project? I mean, the notes that I've made is, how much does one tile cost? How many tiles? You need to know the price of the contractor that you're going to use or outsource the service to. You need to obviously mark up that price for the profit that you want to make. Obviously, not in this for the good of it. You want to make some money. So that's the summary there. I don't know if I've missed what other people have said. Those are the notes that are made. On question 3, we said what type of contract do you think the department will sign with the successful bidder, and explain the reason for your answer. So I didn't fully understand this, but I know it's between a fixed or not. What Howard said is he thinks that I don't know if it was Howard or which is signing now, but Howard, someone said that I think the department would go for a reimbursement contract. I didn't fully understand, so I didn't manage to make more notes on it. I don't know if anybody else can add to that summary. People? Okay, well, that's the only note.
I just added the same as you, Mark.
Okay, so if I'm missing also, while I'm giving my summary, guys, you might just give me, because obviously it's going to inform me and give me a better understanding when I do go over this later on. Question 4 was, illustrate the procurement process you will need to follow to complete a project of this nature. So the notes that I've got there, Gareth, this is where I asked you, but basically this is what I'll need to do, and this is how I'm going to go about doing it. And you Googled something that was confirmed by the lecturer that hit the ball on the head. So I want that link so that I can go through it and put it all together. I don't know if anybody else got something to add to that summary for question 4. Guys? Okay, then I'm moving on to question 5.
Colleagues?
Okay.
I'm asking colleagues whether did they make some notes on that one so that they can understand, because this is a collective effort for everyone. And so if you and Gareth and other guys will be contributing and others they don't contribute, that is what is going to make us to have a lack of not completing this task. And I wouldn't like to be in the position where I'm the same as Tapiwa. So the same momentum that you have started, let us continue with that. But you are in the right path, but the guys who made notes supposed to be assisting you in this regards now, because I was merely trying to give you a direction, but this is where now I find it very strangely that now other colleagues are not contributing towards that input on what you are saying that you couldn't understand here and there.
Okay.
What is their take on that one? Because I understand what you are saying, and others, what are they saying?
Yeah, if someone put something on the chat, but I'm switching between screens here, something about identify which goods. If that person can just maybe just say that, I can type it in. Gareth, can you check the chat for me? You very adept at switching between these applications. Someone put something on the chat.
It's because I have 3 screens.
Well, I'm not that fortunate.
So Louisa
Okay,
says,
yes.
question 4, identify which goods
Yeah.
and services the company needs, submit purchase request, access the select vendors, negotiate pricing terms, and create a purchase order. So she's speaking towards that process flow that I also sent the link to.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'll get that info from the chat. Then I'll move on then. I don't know, people must just read the chat then.
I'll keep an eye on it for you. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just busy dealing also with something else on the back end. Yeah. So
Yeah, I can imagine. No problem.
Okay,
So,
precisely this will be what you would summarize in that question. Identify the goods or services needed. And if you need to elaborate on that, you can. Then you go to the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth, and the seventh. That's exactly why you will table it, but you don't need to put the same thing, but you can illustrate it in terms of writing it down, typing it, whichever way that it's your preference. Whether or not you want to put this there, but you need to tell us where did you find this source, it's still okay. Or you want to label it and answer it in this fashion by typing it, identifying goods or services. But this is exactly what you could be answering that question, and which is a good answer.
okay.
And that is why I was saying why others are not saying anything, because you need to know when you are sitting alone, what is it that you agreed on, and when you are tabling your portfolio of evidence. And this is essential part of your document that it needs to be completed accurately. And hence I'm here to make sure that you complete it accurately with the better understanding what's needed there. So colleagues, I don't know whether we are in the same path or what. Yes, let's continue, but yeah, let us continue.
I agree with you saying that. Going on to question 5, so it says create a list of criteria you think that the department will need to source their suppliers. So the notes that I made here is something that the lecturer said, follow the procurement process just illustrated. So that is the key that we need to bear in mind. The other notes I made is database. What that means, I'll still go into it. Quotations, references, high quality. Quality came up again. Experience, reliability, and availability. That's the notes I made.
I couldn't have agreed with that one more. And that is precisely what the question seeks for you to do. And you can elaborate more. What do you mean by this? Quality supplier and he or she must be reliable. That's how, Mark, maybe you can even extend by saying that. And he or she, the supplier, must be supply good quality of the products that are needed. And yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
Okay.
use he or she in answering, because you don't know the supplier will be he or she, but it's just for me to guide you in how you just say. You don't need to just give bullets. He or she, the supplier must be one. He or she, the supplier must be, you understand? Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I understand
That's
that.
how.
Let me make a note of that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then And then on question 6, we had, in the support of this bid, what risks do you think could be associated with the supply of goods and services? Make a list of at least 5 risks. And what came up there was quality. I don't know how. I just made very short notes because I can't capture it all. I just typed in the quality assurance officer.
Yeah.
SAB's
Nice.
SAB is standard approved tiles and -NSBR-FP -PHRA-G. I don't know what but I think I read it somewhere up there. That's basically that person must be accredited to, I think, install that type of tile or something. I don't know. There's also, I made a note, I said risk assessment, delays in delivery, prices could be inflated, and load shedding. That didn't come up. I never got a chance to mention that. But that's what I got on 6. Then on 7,
Okay, just when we are at 6, you need to, what risk do you think could be associated with the supply of goods and services? There, you make that list. Risk could be 1, associated with the economy, inflation, da. Risk number 2 could be disaster impact faced in the project. Disaster can be anything, floods, COVID, you name it, okay? Then number 3, you go on, number 4, you go on, number 5, you go on, because they're only seeking for 5. And you close that question. Those are the risks. Or not having a risk assessment plan could lead you to that disaster of not completing the project. Because in any project, risk assessment plan is of the essence. Or by not even having a risk officer or compliance officer, it's a disaster on its own in that project. Remember, when you do team development, it's of the essence that you identify someone to be mitigating those risks and thinking of the risk that can impact on the project. Be mindful of that. I was making you to be thinking broader on that one. Risk, it can be anything, but you need to list them in that fashion. It can be orderly, but in that fashion that you make that list. Risk in that could be.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Okay, 7.
7, illustrate the process the department will have to follow to award this contract for 6 marks. So the notes that I made initially before our discussion, I just made a note there, something that the lecturer said, specifications must be in order and requirements must be in order. And then what came out of the group discussion was they have to vet the costing, have to have a panel to accept the bid, and that everything is transparent and legitimate. There has to be some form of short listing process. And then I just wrote, does the bid meet the criteria? And this last one I wrote in here, I didn't get a chance to mention, but surely they would, once they've shortlisted maybe they would want to interview the shortlisting people in their process before they award the contract.
Nice. Absolutely. Nice one. Anyone else, colleagues? Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you. Very nice. And you may want to add, colleagues, whatever that Mr. Mark was illustrating, and obviously, Gareth, you had your own notes there, and there were colleagues. Chile, you had some inputs that you have made. So you may want to add them as you move along in terms of answering to that question. Any other colleagues who wants to add on that task? Because we were busy in this one. Colleagues, anyone? Okay. Oops. I'm now on 2. No, we are not there yet. We are here. You did allow me to proceed, isn't it? So let us proceed.
What page are we on in the manual?
Okay, I will proceed. I know we were here until 2, but let me proceed, colleagues. And thank you very much for allowing me. Now, after this task that you have done, which was the part of the plan, and it's merely a plan to procure. And now the question was asking us on how you're gonna do other things. And obviously, hence I was saying, Mr. Mark, you need to have the risk assessment plan in place so that you know how to mitigate any risk that you will be confronted with as a project manager. So you see, it confirms to what is that procurement plan was all about. And in any procurement, when you procure, you must have the plan as well. Conduct a procurement. At this stage of the procurement process, you have developed your procurement plan and the bidding documents or the criteria you are going to use to source your supplier. This is exactly what you have just done. Next, you have to source your suppliers and manage the procurement process now. This is now the process that you're going to follow and whatnot, because we have already done everything in order. As all project management activities, you will use your project management plan and the procurement plan to guide your actions whilst conducting the procurement. Pending the type of project, you will be sourcing your items at the right time. At this stage, we were given what? We were given a scenario. So we're zooming in a scenario way. And that is why in a scenario, when you are given a scenario, you just are able to play around with a scenario and be innovative in it. Create time frames for yourself for that kind of a project. It doesn't have to be something that you are given. So by this, this is when I'm going to start. By this is when I'm going to finish, because it's a scenario. And if for example, your project includes using perishable goods like food that can go rotten, you will not buy everything at the start, but you will buy them as you are using them. Because obviously, those things are perishable. You as a caterer, you won't buy everything now, and yet you are cooking on Friday. Because by then, Friday, you are running that project to do what? State of Nation address, and you are given this project to do that, and now you want to complete and purchase everything. By the time the guests are eating, that food won't be okay. Because in any case, even when you are doing a catering for big organizations, it's a project on its own. And of course, we need to do a control procurements. Controlling the procurement process means controlling the suppliers. As a project manager, you need to control them. And obviously, there has to be someone who's doing monitoring there. Are they delivering on time? Time, cost, and qualities of the essence. So your quality assurer person needs to be on point. And as a project manager, because you're overseeing. So your trust, you don't need to be misled. Your quality assurer person must be a really reliable person and someone you can rely on, because when you are giving the feedback, when you are sitting there wanting that feedback, it has to be a reliable and authentic feedback from the aspect of suppliers. Yes, everything was delivered on time, and yes, it's executed. And as mentioned before, the procurement plan forms part of the project plan. And as the project progresses, the procurement must be controlled by the project manager, like everything else. So you colleagues as project managers, you control everything. And as you have developed a team, you didn't call people for the sake of calling them because they're your friends. You need people who have quality and capabilities of executing those activities that you'll be giving them. It is also crucial that the project manager manage all the documents related to procurement diligently so and systematically. You need to know how much is left in your project, yes, sir, and madams. You need to know how much is there and how much am I still capable of delivering. Documents could include codes, invoices, delivery notes, delivery quality checks, procurement, project performance assessments, documents, and so on. Control procurements. Before a procurement process can be closed, the following activities must be completed. That in your study guide, evaluate whether the terms and conditions have been met. Conduct an audit on the products received. Address any outstanding payments, etc., etc. Archive the procurement documents. Like I said, record keeping is of the essence in any project, colleagues. Any questions? Then there's this activity now, control procurement activity in your portfolio of evidence that I wanted us to do. And then we do the calculations and then we wrap up. Like I said, I needed us to do 3 activities, and with the pace that we are doing, I think maybe let us stop here because it's almost 2:30. Because it's only 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only the 4 of us. I don't know the impact of this activity, how will be done. Let me project this activity number 2. It's mainly on control procurement activities and see whether or not we can attempt to do this activity number 2. Again, you are given a scenario there. And in your scenario, you are dealing with government entity needs the project to be completed within 1 week. And then you need to decide to place a request for a quote, RFQ, in the local newspaper to source the independent contractor. Create the terms of reference for the potential supplier. Terms of reference within the specific scenario there. That will be for 5 months. And term of reference is anything and everything that you believe is associated with this scenario, colleagues. In your project, create the evaluation criteria, how you will evaluate that person. It's there in your learning guide. As you go on, there's a scenario there. It continues, contractor number 1, number 2, and then you use what the information above, making a decision which contractor you appoint. And you will use a criteria you have developed to evaluate each contractor. And then that is 15 marks, colleagues. And then you write a letter to 2 unsuccessful bidders where you explain the reasons why the RFQ were not accepted by you as a project manager. And then you explain the process you will follow to maintain the procurement records you receive from all 3 bidders. And you conclude. Are you going to be able to do this, colleagues? Hmm?
Can you just remind me again, what if Q stand for? I can't remember now. I remember seeing it somewhere.
Yeah, let me check now. I'll tell you now. It's there in your study guide. I'll check.
It's probably going to be something like a tender or something, or a bid.
For a bid. Yes, request for a code.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
It's a request for a code, RFQ, sorry.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Request for a code. Remember here, you need to do what? You need to do a code. So that is the request for a code, RFQ. In a locus, you have decided to place a request for a code in the local newspaper to source the independent contractor. In reference to this, where you're gonna have to do what? You have received money from a government entity to clean the local park, etc. And where there's any harmful and dangerous objects, and what is it that you're gonna need to clean that site? So it's a project on its own.
Yep.
Sort of like a cleanup campaign that you'll be initiating. So what is it that you're gonna do? And when you are creating this, obviously, in your house, dangerous objects, you will request a code from one of the medical outsourced suppliers to come and take those harmful objects, such as could be medical objects that they are there in the park that you don't want them to be taken to a dump site. Not everything goes to a dump site. Remember, hazardous things, they are not going to a dump site. There's a specific dump site that they are destroying those hazardous things. So you need to outsource that.
Okay.
Etc. etc. And then we try and complete this activity. You have received a request for a code of 3 potential contractors. Here, the contractor number 1, contractor number 2, contractor number 3. Then now, using the above information, you make a decision which one you will take. And obviously, you can just substantiate your answer. This is a reason why we taken this contractor, because maybe in one sentence or two, because all this is out of 15 marks. Or should we park this for the next session?
I think we can rather, because on the pace that we went on the first one, I think we can maybe
I wouldn't mind that, actually.
Yeah, I think we can rather prepare.
Yeah, let us all prepare like properly, and we go over this, and then in the next session we can quickly maybe go through it if possible.
Yeah, please, because the next session, when we're gonna meet, we will start with this activity number 2, and then we're gonna have to do activity number 3, and maybe we're gonna jump into other activities as we are moving along. But because of IC now, it's only 3 of you guys, of which maybe we can pack it for now. For the next session, it will be an ideal to unpack it at that time, because I'm just going to do the recapping on that. And then I say, this is what we have recapped on, and then do the activity number 2. I give you that time to complete the activity number 2, or you shall have, yeah, but we need to do it in the session way, because it's a formative. We need to do it here in class.
Gareth, maybe you can put a You see, I'm again assigning tasks to you, buddy. Maybe put it on the group that everybody, because we must all on the same WhatsApp group. Then we all go through it before, so that it's just a matter of us just throwing our ideas out there and everybody, because I know I'm sometimes very slow. I have to go and read, I have to process it. By the time I give my input, I've delayed everybody, understand? So maybe for next week's, when we do the summary on this one, when we go through this second activity, we can all really know what we're going to say. It shouldn't take us longer than taking 10 minutes to get it all out there. You know what I mean? Gareth?
Sorry, I'm catching you halfway. Who must I add to the group?
And aren't we all on the same WhatsApp group? I think everybody's there. So just
it's only Chili, Howard, yourself, Anthony.
I
So maybe then, maybe if you can add the other people, and then we just prep so that we only spend maximum 10 minutes. Because I mean, I think we're always running behind, even in the first two modules, so that, you know, before we do the session, the next session next week, we already know what we're going to say, and it's just a matter of us just discussing it as a group, and it should take longer than 10 minutes into the normal lesson prepared for next week. Understand?
All right. I think you must run with that.
because what is essential here is for us to do activities in class, and obviously, if you come prepared, the better for you when you know what to do and what to say. Because obviously next week we're going to start with this activity. Yes, it may we follow a sequence as they are, as sequential as they are. From 2, we're going to move to 3. From 3, we're going to move to 4 as they are. And then in obviously consultation with your other team members, whether they're agreeing or not. And obviously I'll be there to say, yes, you are in the right direction. Because activity number 1, yes, it was very excellent, but it's just that it took you time. And sometimes, yes, we need to do those kind of activities here. And obviously, the summative activities that you need to complete, starting from today, from 1 until to wherever, where you feel that you need to stop and then wait for another session. Because how I structured this, I want us to move in this fashion. When we do the slides, we stop, we do activity, we do the slides, we stop, we do activity, so that there's no activity that is falling behind that we need to recap on it, because everyone is in the same pace. And then when we do portfolios, we're just seeing where are the loopholes. And that will be the day that is dedicated for the POE. And that's the better way of doing it, I think, because the other session, I've done it that way and it went well. So I think maybe that's a reason why the other session, maybe there were some other things that were left out. And now I try by all means to eliminate things to be falling behind. That is why I'm saying I'm going to recap from the procurement, and then we stop at the activity. I give you time to do it, and then you do the report back. Report back, one person or anyone will be assisting the other person. You give information, then we close that chapter, we move on. We continue with the session until we get to another activity that is in your study guide.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Now the last one we didn't do a summary, which I find this is actually quite good. This just refreshes the memory, you know. So yeah, that's good that we're adding that we do after we do the one assessment, someone summarizes. That's great. I think it's fantastic.
Sure. Okay, colleagues, I think let us stop here. We'll continue. We still have 5 weeks to complete this module. So there's no need to rush and put everything together. But I thought we'll move very smoothly. But yes, we are making progress. We're moving very smoothly. And yes, it's a lengthy activities here, and the sessions are very quite long in this unit. and we have not completed unit number 1. So we'll continue with it. Probably we'll finish it next week, Wednesday. Just maybe dedicate time. We'll do 2 activities on it, and obviously 2 won't take time, and then 3 and 4. Then we stop there. Then we continue, and as the week progresses. But it's still okay. We are in the right path. Thank you so much, Mr. Gareth. And thank you so much, Mr. Mark, Anthony, Mr. Taylor. Thank you. Let us sum up there.
Thanks, guys.
Sure,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks.
See you next
Cheers.
week then.
Everyone.
See you next week.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.